right, so here's the current update. I've had a couple of nearly almost on purpose crash and burns in my dating world this week. And gotta tell you, it's teaching me something. All right, here's it in a nutshell. So basically, I purposely crashed and burned a couple scenarios this week because I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I'm tired of wasting my time. There's so many people that want to play games on all these apps and everything, and when I say people, I mainly mean women. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. And I'm sure there's some guys on there that are playing games, and that's probably why the women are playing their games. But in the end, I've kind of gotten to the point where I just don't want to waste my time anymore, right? So when I have a chat with a woman and it ends up in a situation where she starts grilling me about my accomplishments in life, what have I done? Well, you know, what do I do for a living? Where do I live? And it's really not about where do you live, it's about how do you live. If I told somebody that I lived in an apartment in the city and I didn't have a car and it made sense to me because I didn't want to have to deal with parking, I could theoretically be in a $5 million condo and have a black car service. But they're not going to take it that way, right? Because they're going to pick and poke and prod and find out what you do for a living. And some of the richest people I know in this world, on the cover of that book, they would seem like the brokest individual you ever met in your life. I've been to Lowe's and Home Depot with millionaires who are in there with painted up and ripped up jeans. And they look like they're homeless almost, but they've got a yacht, they've got multiple real estate listings, you know, property everywhere. They've got millions in the bank, and you would never know it, right? So in the end, I end up in these discussions recently with these women who, there's really no nice way to put this, right? They're single moms out of a failed relationship. 99% of the time, they left the relationship, and it's always because the guy was abusive, or, you know, he cheated or whatever. It's never their fault. I've never met it. I told somebody recently, if they find a woman that's willing to take the blame for something, I need her phone number and they need to get away from my wife because I'm going to marry her. I have yet to find, and I'm saying this knowing that 80% of my subscribers on here are men, right? And feel free to comment if you disagree. And if you agree, go ahead and tell me what you think, because in the end, I feel like I can accept the mistakes that I've made in the relationships that I've had in the past. And if I get to the point where I can talk to someone on a level that means that we're going somewhere, I can explain what I feel my contribution to the failure of anything that I've had in my past was, right? But when you try to have that discussion with a woman, they will never, ever, I've never met, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm the one guy who's never found a woman who will take the blame for it, but they say that statistically, women leave 80% of marriages. Women file 80% of divorces. And when they're college educated and they think that when they get that little bit of a feminist bug and they're educated and they, you know, think they can make it on their own, it's 90%. When you set up a contract, and when I say a contract, I mean a marriage, I mean a wedding, I mean a marriage certificate and a relationship where when somebody stands to walk away with all the cash and prizes, alimony, child support, half of everything, it's kind of a tilted table, if you get what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying I'll never get married. I would love to get married. I would love to have someone that I can count on, that I can come home to, that will build an empire with me. That, you know, all this crap that I have will make sense, other than the fact that I'm just a bachelor dealing with my situations in life. But gotta tell you, being in my 40s now, looking for her wherever she may be, starting to get a real complete understanding of the whole theory of the passport bros, right? I go on an app, start talking to a girl, says she's from, I don't know what town it was, probably 35, 40 minutes from here. Talked to her for, a beautiful girl. Talked to her for probably 45 minutes, and at some point I said, well, you know, where are you from? And she comes out and says, well, I'm from the Philippines. Which is fine, because one of my exes was Filipino. Well, a couple of my exes were Filipino, but that's another story. Anyway, she's in the Philippines. She doesn't live here, right? And not that the U.S. is, in my opinion, the greatest destination, but it always has been as far as anybody in the foreign world is concerned. And so that turns into a K-1 fiance visa, immigration. You got to make a trip over there. You're talking about a 3 to 5 year commitment just to get the paperwork right, you know, and flat out marriage right out of the gate. And you got to get to know somebody remotely. Am I even in the mood for that? Well, where I live, it's exactly 12 hours off from her. So when it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon here, it was 1 o'clock in the morning there. We had a great conversation, but it was like 1:32 a.m. She was tired. She was going to bed. So we ended that conversation because she was tired. But it was a great conversation. Now, will I continue to talk to her? I got to tell you, I don't know. Because I don't want to spend all this time getting to know somebody only to throw that time out the window, right? You can't go to a bar anymore and meet anybody who's decent. All these red flags. I mean, you got God, so many red flags. Help me out. Somebody get in the comments and tell me where they found their significant other. And I'm talking about the guys. Where you found your woman. I mean, was it through a coworker? Did you get fixed up by family members? Did you go to church? Did you run into her because you're a delivery guy and she happened to be one of the recipients of something you were dropping off? I mean, tell me. Because, I gotta tell you, these dating apps, man, it's like, I'm gonna need PTSD therapy after all this. So, that's how I'm gonna leave this video. That's my complaint for the day. But, as I was starting this off, I said that, I crashed and burned a few purposely. And in one case, I had a chat with a girl, and you know, after she picked me apart, hey, what do you do for a living? Where do you live? You know, what about your family? You know, do you have a dog? Do you have a cat? Do you have any kids? Yeah, I got a son. He's 13. And yeah, I got a dog, and I got my chickens, and I got my own little friggin' issues here. And no, I'm not going to give her my YouTube channel because I'm dumping way too much out here. I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep all these videos up. But subscribe if you want to follow for some more raw information from me. But in the end, I asked the question that no woman likes to hear. Well, you all, you know, you just grilled me for 40 minutes over what I bring to the table. What do you bring to the table? And a man doesn't want to hear, oh, I got a degree and I have a career and I make my own money. There ain't a real man in this world that gives a crap about the money his woman makes or the girl that he's going to date. We want someone who's agreeable. We want someone who isn't going to be the alpha in the relationship. And that's not to say that we want somebody who's going to listen to our every barked order. But we want someone who isn't going to make our lives difficult. That's it. That's it. Don't make my life difficult. Make me happy. Do stuff with me. Give me a little bit of your time. Make me feel like what it is that I want in my life, because I feel that that's what you want in your life. We're both working towards that together. I don't want to feel like I'm the only one dragging the cart. But I don't expect you to be paying the bills. I don't expect you to be doing it all on your own either, right? If your car breaks down, that's my problem. If you have an issue with someone at work and you want to come and flip out in my ear, I will listen to you. If it's a dude, I'll take care of it. But if it's some negative Nancy that you work with, I mean, not a whole lot I can do. That's woman's stuff, right? But there's places where guys fall in line and there's places where women fall in line. And sadly, it seems like women in the 30s and 40s range, it seems like they've gone through a little bit in their 20s. They had fun. They were wanted because they were younger. They had no baggage. They didn't have kids. And so every guy in the world was trying to get with them. The guys who were 20, they were trying to get with them. The guys who were, 19 were trying to get with them. The guys who were 30, the guys who were 40, they were all wanting them 20-some-year-old women. And now that they're in their 30s and they got 1 or 2 kids and they have a lot of baggage, right? History. They've been through a bunch of guys. Now their standards are even higher. They still want the top tier guys that were looking for them when they were 25, 30 years old. But now that they're 35 and they got that baggage, or like they say, they're almost about to hit that wall, they still want them same top tier guys and they're not willing to give the decent guy a chance. There's a lot of us decent guys out here. And there's a lot of mental health issues because we can't find who we're looking for. And the problem is that a woman will never accept a guy who's a decent guy against the top 1 to 5% guy because they're they've always got it up there. You know, like, I'm not trying to find a drop dead gorgeous model who has no kids, who's got $1 million in the bank. I know she's probably going to have a whole lot of options, but those top 1% guys got the options too. And if you leave us single long enough, that's all we know how to do. We just make money, pay bills, and solve problems. Next thing you know, we're that top 1%, and now we don't want you. We may go to the Philippines. We may find that fresh out of college girl who just decides she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, and we may have a kid with her. And now you're 35, and you've done moved on from your relationship because you thought you deserved more. Oh, God. All right. Anyway, so that's all I've got. I'm done complaining. Hit me in the comments. Subscribe if you want to follow along. And Easter's coming up. Hope you guys have a good one. Ramblin' Rick out.